Welcome back to the Solution Series, brought to you by DoubleRadius, hosted by yours truly, Jeff Holdenred. Here with Blair Clements from ICT, and this is part 4 of the series that we put together on ICT. Blair, welcome back.
Thanks for having me yet again. Hope I'm not
You're going to
wearing
get
out my
tired of
welcome.
talking to me, I know. So over the last few series or sessions, we talked about who ICT is. We talked about your DC power supplies. We talked about your DC power distribution. We talked about the intelligence and the management pieces that you offer with your solutions. We talked about how you implement battery backup into your solutions. So now we're going to wrap it all up into one big piece, and we're going to talk about your modular series or your power. How do you guys refer to it as?
Yeah, we have the Modular Power Series and then we have a Hybrid Power Series and their extension of those, the high-powered version of those. So yeah, we can touch on all of
Yeah,
those.
well, you guys call them systems. So now that's what it is. So we have our power supplies, we have our power distribution, and now this will be considered your power systems, right? Um,
Correct. Yeah, DC
so
power system. Yeah.
DC power systems, everything wrapped into one. It's attractive. I like it. So can you go over kind of what you guys do in your systems here, in your power system solution?
Sure. I'll touch on the Modular Power Series and our MPS Ultra
Mhm.
platforms first. So as you said, they're a DC power system. So
Mhm.
what we've done, and we've talked about before, some of our sort of discrete power supplies, rack mount power supplies. So now we have it in a form factor that incorporates DC power modules or DC rectifiers, some people call them, and then
Mhm.
are a different form factor. They're modular and they can slide into our power shelf, and you can put as many power modules as you need for your particular application and scale up the power as needed for your requirements. So those are hot swappable power modules. So that is, customers typically will use these types of power systems for really critical sites. So if there is any issue with one of the power modules, for example, they can actually pull that module out and slot another module in and keep the whole system running without ever losing power to the site. So that's the importance of having the N+1 hot swappable DC rectifier modules or power supply modules that go into these power shelves. And then we also have modules that are factory installed. So depending on the customer's needs, we actually have battery management modules. So they basically take up one slot position in the
Mhm.
shelf. The shelf is generally 4 positions that you can actually fill with modules. And the battery management module incorporates low voltage disconnect and then adds the battery management features that we've talked about previously with some of our other products to basically do battery discharge testing, the voltage of your battery, set your low voltage disconnect points, battery equalization, charging, and all those types of battery functions and maintenance and that you need to support your batteries at the site and make sure they're in optimal running conditions. So that's a module that customers can say when they order, I want to have battery backup capabilities, and that comes in a 100 amp battery breaker on the unit, so it can trip out if you have an excessive battery fault condition occur, or 2 100 amp battery breakers, so you can connect 2 battery strings to the device if you want to. And then the other module that we have with our Modular Power Series and MPS Ultra is our load distribution module. And again, that fills one position in the shelf, and each of those load distribution modules has 4 breaker protected outputs on it, similar to our distribution panels. And the real difference that we offer is we took all the intelligence and features and functionality of our intelligent DC distribution panel, and we basically incorporated that into this modular power systems, which means that you actually have, yes, breaker protected outputs. Yes, you can monitor output current and things like that for each individual load that you have connected to these. But more importantly, you can actually cycle power individually to those loads again. And that's what makes ICT's solution unique, is that we have the ability to provide that power cycling. So if you have a locked up device, like we talked about in previous sessions, you can actually go in there and remotely cycle power to that individual device at the tower and keep all the other devices up and running and hopefully reboot that device and have it running. So it provides these modular power systems, gives you that configurability to add as many power modules as you may need to support the power at the site, add battery management if you need it, add one or two or even more load distribution modules to have load distribution capabilities, all within one platform, all being monitored with one single IP address to control all of that.
In those
So that's
you
the
have.
modular. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's the modular power series in MPS Ultra. And then what we did is we expanded on that. We just recently released what we call our hybrid power series and our
Mhm.
hybrid ultra. So the hybrid power series is in a 1U unit, and the hybrid ultra is in 2U, and
Mhm.
very similar. You can add power modules. You can add load distribution modules, battery management modules. The difference with our hybrid system is we actually have a 700-watt DC-DC converter module, which we factory install. So for those sites that we talked about earlier that may have primarily 48 volts, but may have some 24-volt gear there as well, now you can have a DC-DC converter module bedded into this platform. And at the back of the unit, you have the main output of 48 volts, and then you have a secondary output voltage of 24 volts to support those 24-volt devices. And that's, again, all incorporated into one platform.
So yeah, what I was saying earlier, or what I was going to say earlier, you already hit on it. But so basically, you have a 1U that has 4 slots for you to customize however you need size, distribution, everything else. And then you have the 2U, which has 8 slots. Obviously giving you more options for outputs or more options for more power supplies. So that's kind of how this series works, correct?
That is correct. And a lot of customers will go to the ultra versions of these, which are the 2U versions, to give you extra power
Hmm.
because they need it. But also, we have a lot of customers that will be thinking about future proofing their sites. So
Hmm.
their sites may be small now, maybe don't have as many subscribers hanging off them. So the number of radios and devices that they need at the site is right now it's limited. But they will buy an Ultra 2U version with 8 slots available, and that way, as the site grows, as they add more devices to the site, perhaps they change devices at the site that may need more power. They can, instead of having to rip out that one and then replace it with another unit, they can just simply slot in another power module and add power to the site. So there's scalability there. And we provide DC power modules both at 700-watt output ratings, and we have a newly released 1500-watt output rating, which we released in January, which enables customers to effectively double the power or more in the same footprint and the same size as we were providing previously with 700 watts.
Yeah, I saw that. I think that was I saw an announcement on that. I think it was right on your homepage about the 1500 watts. So that's pretty cool. Go a little bigger, right?
Yeah, I mean, devices are becoming a little bit more power intensive, so that seems to be
Mhm.
the trend. And so to be able to double up the power requirement, all within the same size as the previous 700 watts. So for the folks that need small, medium power, then 700 watts is a great option for them. But folks that need to step it up a little bit, we have 1500 watts available in the power modules now as well. So.
That's awesome. No, that's perfect. All right. So is there anything else that we need to go over in the power systems, or I mean, it sounds like, because we talked about all the intelligence in the power supplies, we talked about the intelligence in the power distribution. All that's the same thing moving into this. So really, we've kind of wrapped this up into a full circle of, if you need bigger, more, options. You've got your individual power supply, power distribution. But if you're looking at 4, 8, 12 devices, not too much power, then your modular series or your power systems pretty much so is a great fit for that, correct?
Yeah, again, we kind of look at it as the good, better, best, depending on the site and what the customer needs for the site. If it's a critical site, the modular approach is very good
Hmm.
because you can scale it up. You have N+1 redundancy. And what that means is, say, for example, you had a site that is 1,000 watts, it requires 1,000 watts.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at our 700-watt module, in order to provide that 1,000 watts, you need 2 power modules. So that's
Hmm.
700 times 2, 1,400 watts. And then what customers will do is they'll add an extra power module to give you the N plus the one extra. And that
Hmm.
way, if any of the power modules goes offline for whatever reason, it happens infrequently, thankfully, but if it does, then there's enough power there already with the other modules to continue to support the load requirements for the site. And typically customers that have fairly critical sites will opt to go with the sort of N+1 redundant system. And the
Mhm.
modularity helps for scalability as well. For a smaller site, you may just opt to go with our sort of Pro Series, very sort of standalone power supply with maybe some intelligent distribution. It's a more cost-effective solution for a site that doesn't need all the bells and whistles that our modular system will offer.
So now let me shift gears real quick. What is the coolest or most memorable deployment that you know of from rather something that you got to visit or you heard of one of your sales reps talk about? What's the coolest deployment ICT's been in that you can remember?
Oh, that's a good one. We get out to visit sites on occasion, obviously. There's various different ones that I could point out. Some in terms of just the size of the sites, some of them are quite impressive. The installations that they've done there, and the professionalism that you see with some of the installs that you see at some of these sites. I'd say for me personally, some of the fun ones to go to have been ones that have been very remotely located in far north Queensland in Australia, for example, on the top of the rainforest in a mountain somewhere where you had to take a helicopter to get there. That's always a fun part to the job, to go and visit these sites with customers, and that just sort of reinforces the remote access capability of the product, because to get out to those sites it needs a helicopter. There's no other way to get there, and so to be able to log in and remotely monitor stuff and control things, and avoid helicopter rides, even as fun as they are, they're expensive.
They're
So
expensive.
right, so they can save customers a lot of money the less that they have to do that. So that's more for a land mobile radio site, but you can understand the same idea and the same concept. Any remote site can be a challenge to get to, but that was a fun one, I do recall. So
That's cool. That's cool. Well, Blair, I really appreciate you taking the time to film these and talk to our clients and explain, all the different solutions that ICT brings to the table. Like I said 100 times before, we're super excited to have the relationship with you guys. Like I said, I've been talking to y'all for a long time, so I'm very happy that we finally got a chance to build this relationship. I'm glad we're getting to do this series and educate our clients about, who ICT is and the solutions you bring to the table. For those of you that are, once again, I'm going to say it again. If you're going to WISP America, come see ICT in booth 117. Come visit DoubleRadius in booth 211, Louisville, Kentucky, March 6th through 9th. Blair, once again, thank you. Any final comments or anything else we need to add, or are we doing good here?
no, I want to thank you guys for coordinating all this, and it's great to be working with Double Radius, and it was a lot of fun doing these. So I hope the customers got some value out of it. So
Good, good. ICT, power supplies, power distribution, power systems, all with intelligence. Jump on the website, check them out, reach out to your sales rep, ask questions. Let's get the right people talking to the right people, and let's make this happen. All right. So thank you again for watching this series. This is Jeff, Double Radius, the Solution Series. Have a wonderful day, Blair. Thank you very much. All right.
thank you. Goodbye, folks. Thanks.